Hi there, I'm Suranga from English Pen. It is Total Immersion. Today I'm going to a very small essay and written by a small guy. The topic of the essay is my favorite book. My favorite book. This is not the book that he has written that essay, but it is in this book. My favorite book, the book I like most, my favorite book. I'm born in a world of books. I am born in a world of books. When I was born, there were books, good number of books, but nowadays you cannot see that much because the reason is really now this is the digital age. We do have audio books and we do have sort of digital books, and there are bookshops even. But to tell you the truth, actually, those days people read a lot. Reading, read means reading a lot. And nowadays people are not reading that much. So we can remember when we were small. This book has been written in 1970s, 1972 also. Okay, I am born in a world of books. My father has a good library, and all around me I see only books. This my experience, yeah. My father has a good library. Even my father had a very good library. Library is a collection of books, a huge collection of books, good collection of books. My father has a good library, and all around me I see only books. Yeah, I see. My father has a good library, and all around me I see only books. Even when I was a child, I played with books. Even when I was a child, those days, my playthings were books. I played with books. Pulling and pushing or doing different things to books. Even when I was a child, I played with books. As I grew up, I began to love these books on the shelves. Those days, when I was really small, I played with books. As I grew up means grow up, becoming bigger. As I grew up, little by little, I became a big boy. And I was growing. When I was growing, I did not play with books. As I grew up, I began to love these books. I started loving books. As I grew up, I began to love these books on the shelves. So I like books on the shelves. I did not played the books on the ground. Books on the floor. But instead I loved the books on shelves. Shelves, you know what shelves? As I grew up, I began to love these books on the shelves. I could not read them. Yeah, maybe English books or whatever. I began to love these books on the shelves. I could not read them, but I learned to admire the pictures in them. Admire. Very good. When I say, this picture is really good, I admire that. Your shirt is really nice. I admire your way of your things, that is how you dress. I began to love these books on the shelves. I could not read them, but I learned to admire the pictures in them. I happened to turn pages to see the pictures in the books. I learned to admire the pictures in them. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. Oh yeah, now the things have changed. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. Now the condition is completely different. Those days, first I played with the books, and then I did not read books. Instead, I admired the pictures in the books. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. I can select the books that I like. So I can buy books, I can read books, I can select books, I can do a lot of things. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. My father brings many storybooks for me. Now, I'm a reader. I can read now. My father brings me books. So that is it. Still I am a small guy, I think. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. My father brings many storybooks for me. My father buys and gives the books to me. Bring, take and bring. You understand? Bring, take it away. Bringing, yeah. I learned to admire the pictures in them. Now I can read and I can choose the books that I like. My father brings many storybooks for me. I like all these books. Now the thing is, my favorite book, the topic, he is going to a particular book. My father brings many storybooks for me. I like all these books. But some of these I like more than others. But some of the books are my favorite. I like them most. I have 100 books, say. 50 books, I say. But 2-3 books, couple of books are really, really good. I like them most. I like all those books, but some of these I like more than others. I can categorize them into 2 groups. I like these books. Yeah. Several books, couple of books I like the most. I like all these books, but but some of these I like more than others. Of all these books, I like the adventure of Sherlock Holmes most. We have used more and most. When we categorize books into 2 groups, the more than among 2. But here, now there are 3 groups. Books I like, and I like more when 2 categories. Now, when it comes to 3 categories or more than that, the most. Good number of books, and then most means not 2 classes of books. He is talking about all the books. That means more than 2 books, more than 3, more than 4, and so on. So there is a very good selection. The most means out of all these books. I like all these books, but some of these I like more than the others. Of all these books, I like the adventures of Sherlock Holmes most. Adventure of Sherlock Holmes. You know what? I have read it several times. I have read it several times. I read and reread. I read the books. Wow. The Kaputa has dropped something. Yeah. Air breath escape. Yeah. Nulemberni. I like the adventure of Sherlock Holmes most. I have read it several times, but still it is not told. I have read it several times, that is Sherlock Holmes stories. I read them several times. I read them again and again. I have read it several times, but still it is not told. I like the books. Each story in it has a special charm for me. Each story in it, individual story, I mean. Each story, this one, every book, each and every book. Each story in it has a special charm for me. What is charming? There are snake charmers. Snake charmers are people who catch snakes and and they do different things with the snakes. They have shows using snakes and snake charmers. In India and in Sri Lanka, even snake charmers. Snake charmers can charm snakes. So they have sort of methods. They have different ways so that snake has to obey. Snakes have to obey. Snakes have to do whatever the snake charmer wants them to do. For example, when the snake charmers are using that their sort of the instrument producing that particular sound, the snakes basically act accordingly. Snakes move accordingly. That is charm. If somebody charms you, you have to do whatever he says. Charming. So we would say it's really charming, a charming girl or something like that. You know, right? Charming girl. Charming girl means basically we like them. It's charming. So it is interesting and attractive or something like that. Charming. Charming is a beautiful in a way. But here the charm means I have to obey. And all the controls go into the books. The books control us. Oh yeah, if the book says just do it like that, we are okay, it's better. I'd better do that maybe thing. Something like that. I have read it several times, but still it is not all. Each story in it has a special charm for me. You just go to a dictionary and find what the charm means. Even in single, you find the meaning. The more I read it, the more curious I grow about Sherlock Holmes. Oh, it's a very good construction in English. The more I read it, the more I read it. When I read and read and read and read, when I read and read, so my interest grows. If I read 10 books, my interest, my liking towards books is say 10. If I read 50 books, I like 50 times the books. If I read 1,000 books, my appreciation, my love towards book grows. So it becomes 1,000 times. That is it. Each story is, it has a special charm for me. The more I read it, the more curious I grow. Curious. Oh, what happens? Curious is what happens. We are really interested and we want to see what happens. Curious. Monkeys are curious. If you place something somewhere, the monkey comes and he wants to find what is inside. So that is what we call curious. The more I read it the more curious I grow about Sherlock Holmes. So if I read 2 books of Sherlock Holmes, I happen to read more books. It grows my curiosity. Oh, I should read more books of Sherlock Holmes, I would say. The more I read it, the more curious I grow about Sherlock Holmes, the great detective. Great detective. You know what detectives is? Detectives are people trying to find the secrets of things. For example, crime, especially crime. If something happens, so if somebody kills someone, so nobody is there, you can find that. That is it is the detective. So in Sri Lanka, we know the CID, things like that. It is the detective comes and find pieces of evidence, and they try to find what has happened, and somehow they manage to catch the culprit, the Rakkaria. Yeah. The more I read it, the more curious I grow about Sherlock Holmes. The great detective is a wonderful creation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes is not a guy, not a person. That is a character. That is a character. Character is just like in Madolduwa, Upali Ginivalli is a character. Jinnah is a character, not real people, real person. The characters in story. So Sherlock Holmes is a character, a detective. So the books were written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes. He is a wonderful creation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes is the creation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So Upali Ginivalli is the creation of Martin Wickramasinghe. So he is a wonderful creation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. With what an ease he solves the mystery. With what an ease, with what an ease, easily. That means with what an ease. What a wonderful guy, he solves the problems easily. With what an ease he solves mysteries. His friend Dr. Watson also is wonderful. The Sherlock Holmes has a friend, Mr. Watson, is supporting him. Watson. So he says his friend Dr. Watson also is wonderful. That is what is interesting. So, my favorite book, that is basically the Total Immersion. And today we have done this story. So, when you think about this story, what I want to tell you is, this is basically Total Immersion. That is what you should be exposed to. It is only the Total Immersion that makes you think in English. Thinking in English comes only through Total Immersion. No secrets, nothing, no magic is there. There is a dog. Yeah, nothing is there. If you want to think in English, you have to be exposed to. You have to be exposed to Total Immersion. That is it. It is Total Immersion. So I'm going to wind up this session, and please subscribe and give us a like and press the bell icon so that you will receive my videos that I'm uploading. Hi dog, how are you? And that is it. And most importantly, write something that is comment on things. Yeah, he's commenting. Yeah, okay, he's commenting. Yeah, he expresses his ideas. Why don't you? Okay. Oh, yes. Yes, okay. Bye.